Hello. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Beatrice.
Hi, and a big welcome to all our listeners and our viewers. So welcome to Coaches Unleashed, the show where we show you how everyday people can get life-changing results through coaching. So this week, we'll be taking a closer look at how coaching can help people that are feeling stuck, whether personally or professionally, or a bit of both. So, Tom, can you maybe just share with us what it means to be stuck, or this sense of stuckness and feeling stuck? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of word, isn't it? Stuck.
Yeah.
I think it comes in a lot of ways, but ultimately it's not knowing what to do next or where to go next or inactivity, either kind of mentally or physically. That's kind of inactivity because you just don't know kind of where to go. And I think on a personal level, it comes up more so for me when an example is we're about to move house in the next couple of months, and just having so much that needs to be done, a huge list of things. That was just so overwhelming. I felt stuck and just wasn't doing anything because there was where do I start? So almost having so much that you don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
And then also conversely, when you just don't have a clue on what to do next because there's some sort of blocker. So there's something blocking you from being able to move forward, is how I would give it a description.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use that word moving forward, because that's exactly what was popping in my mind, was the inability to sort of keep going and just to get stuck where you're not going forward, you're not going backward, you just stop moving. And I think in life, we're made to evolve and move forward.
Definitely.
And can you provide some examples of the type of things people come to you for stuckness for, and what it is that they're doing or not doing and feeling, and how it is that you help them?
Yeah. I think ultimately everyone who comes to coaching comes because they're stuck in some way. Otherwise, they wouldn't really be here. I see it, I guess, from a career point of view, when I'm coaching people around their development, it comes in the form of feeling lost, feeling stuck, stagnation. Those kind of words come up a lot. And, people who have, I've had also people who've kind of progressed really well throughout their career, and then suddenly they hit this point, this plateau, and they don't know what's next. And I see that in a couple of different cohorts of people, kind of the 40s, 50s sort of age range, where they've kind of kept going, kind of this careers kept going, and suddenly, where do I go next? So this one client I had, he was now at the point where he was reporting to the CEO, and he's like, okay, well, I can't go up any higher, but I've also got all this career history and I don't want to move company. And how do we find some way of keeping that development going without moving company or moving roles? So I helped him there with that. And then I've got a couple of other people in that kind of late 20s, early 30s kind of age range, where they've come out of graduate programs, they've had a couple of years or 3 or 4 years of quite signposted development, let's say. So it's been quite scripted and quite kind of, you do this and then there's get the next point and then you do the next bit, and it's all been quite linear. And now they've got to this point where they need to do a bit more themselves. So I often see that kind of group of people coming to me and saying, I'm stuck, I'm lost, what do I do next? And I think how coaching helps those people is that it gives them the time just to remove themselves from the kind of the moment. Because when you are stuck, it's a horrible feeling, and you're kind of in this like, I can describe it as the kind of their heads doesn't know what to do, and you're always in the kind of what am I doing next mentality. Whereas with coaching, it just brings you up a level almost, or kind of removes you from that situation, and then suddenly you just make time to think a bit clearer about what you're doing and why and what's the importance of it. And I think one of the great questions that I've used with clients who have been stuck is, what's the cost of doing nothing? Because that one really helps them just, I need to do something about this. And then they kind of switch into, right, let's stop deliberating. And, you know, because people take weeks, months, years, you know, to just thinking or not thinking and not doing. And it's just helping get something moving, the tiny thing. It can be an absolutely tiny thing, but just something that gets you moving.
It almost sounds like some people can be in a certain kind of denial when they're stuck. So for whatever reasons, possibly because it's so painful, they don't make decisions because they're scared of making either the wrong decisions, and therefore they don't make any decision. But as we know, not making a decision is making a decision. You're deciding not to do anything about it. And fascinating, these two different types of personas that you see. So I was thinking of the ones that are in big corporations where they kind of have their path planned out, and then at one point they hit a plateau where they can't really, you know, either they become the CEO or, you know, something has to give. So how do you help in that context? What are the kind of things that you offer your coachees in terms of support?
Very much depends on the person, but some of the things that have helped, very much just letting them see things from a different way and opening up possibilities. So yes, there are lots of tools and techniques and exercises that we do, but ultimately it's all about just, again, I said it before, removing them from the situation that they're in right there and then, and instead looking at the bigger picture, kind of broader career and life ambitions and how all this fits into that. Sometimes then when you frame it from a lot of people see their career as this, I need the next thing and I need the next thing and the next thing. It's actually just taking a step back and saying, well, forget about what your career ambitions are, what's your life ambitions, and then what do you need the career to be in the context of that? That's often a really good way of reframing something. I view kind of this work-life harmony balance of, you have career, you have home, you have community and self, and those kind of 4 quadrants or 4 bubbles people like to use. So I often put the career then in that bracket, and then helps them then to really frame what they want, and instead of what the kind of company's ambitions or the kind of the growth map that they've just been told all their lives, forget about that and look at it in you, because it's your, it's your life that you're ultimately living. And so that helps. That exercise helps for sure.
It sounds like you help them to look at things from a different perspective. So less of what they should be doing, but actually seeing it from what do you actually want perspective, which maybe they're not used to doing because they have never encouraged to do it.
Definitely. And it's finding other ways as well. I think often people look at it purely in that career perspective of, I need fulfillment in this, or I need that drive and ambition that I have to be fulfilled within the career. So it's actually looking at other things that they can do as well, or even just other things in work that aren't necessarily promotion, but it's other opportunities, mentoring, guiding other employees, finding. And I guess that's where things like a values exercise really helps. It helps them figure out what really drives them. As another tip that another tool that I use, and this works for anybody at any point in their career, is to draw out a career timeline. So going from a certain date in the past going forward, drawing out on a line, you know, the really high points and then the low points, and again, and just identifying out all the highs, the lows, what was happening then and there, and all of that to really then figure out, well, what was special about that time when it was all going well, and what was really wrong there, what was the difference. And doing that over a period of time can be really eye-opening for people, just to see, you know, and then it can almost let them then they have their own reflections on, well, I can see now why I feel stuck, because I don't have that and I don't have that I had before. So how do we get that back? So I think a lot of reflecting, to kind of answer your question at a very broad level, it's exercises that help them self-reflect somehow as to their wants and desires and needs and all of that kind of stuff. That helps them just clarify or get clarity on why they're here now, why they're getting stuck, and then help them move forward. Yeah.
Well, that sounds very empowering, and it sounds also like giving agency back to somebody and giving them a choice, you know, by helping them gain that self-awareness.
Yes, choice is a really good word, because that's something, you know, it is disempowering when you feel stuck and you don't have a clear path forward, and you feel like other people are making decisions for you and there's no way forward for you. Whereas, yeah, that's what we're there for, isn't it? We're there for to show people there is a way, and the power is in their hands. Yeah. And what about you, Beatrice? What's the examples that you've had in your coaching or in your personal life around stuckness?
Yeah, so actually it struck me what you said, that all people that come to coaching pretty much have a stuck element to them. And I never thought about it like that, but in actual fact, it's probably true. That's why they need, at least they are aware that they need external professional help. What I normally do is I try to really understand the root cause of why they are not making decisions, or, you know, not delving into things. And it normally involves lack of self-awareness, or not really being honed into one's strengths and using one's strengths. So I will do the exercises with them to help them, you know, remind them of what their strengths are, or just clearly define which are their strengths and how they can articulate those to themselves, first of all, and then to the rest of the world. So I do provide quite a bit of sort of self-reflection exercises. Similar to you, I also do what I call the lifeline. So it can be either career dependent or just in general in life. Go back and see the highs and lows. I do it from a perspective of learning what each event taught them. You know, what did they actually learn from that event, however positive or painful it was, or difficult, you know, events and people and decisions and circumstances will always teach you something. And so we're looking at it from a point of view of how does that make you more resilient, more aware, more compassionate, wiser, more streetwise. So, you know, that brings them to, I think, already feeling a sense of, oh, you know, tapping into their strengths. And that, I think, helps to let go of some blockages and to give them the confidence to start to try and explore things and start making maybe little decisions to get them where they want to go. Also, I find that developing just resilience and overcoming challenges helps in sort of navigating difficult decisions, and just being aware of everything that one has had to already do in their past life, and just helping them to reconnect with that. I'm thinking if there's a persona, but I'm currently coaching people from all sorts of different walks of life. I mean, there's both entrepreneurs and people from corporate as well, and startups. and freelancer. So I've got a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. But yeah, I mean, they all come to me pretty much with, I think, self-doubt or fear of failure is another big one, or negative self-perception. And I help them to understand where that's coming from, and try to help them see themselves through a different lens.
You mentioned there those different personas of people that you often see coming to you. Do you notice any differences in the source of where they get stuck?
I think it has a lot to do just with their limiting beliefs, really. It's and therefore I help them unpick their limiting beliefs, and they think that their life should go a certain way. And when they realize that that's not how life works, but you have agency over, if you want to have an objective and something that you're passionate about, and you can clearly identify that, and so you have your vision, and then it's about, okay, so what do I need to do? What do I need to change? What do I need to keep? What do I need to do more of in order to work towards that vision? And so that's what I help them do. And the moment that they can see how the process works, I find that they start to, it already frees up their energy, and they start to feel better, and they start to feel more hopeful as well.
A word that you used quite a lot earlier on was resilience.
Yes.
How is resilience and this concept of being stuck related?
So for me, it's just, first of all, reminding them that we're obviously all human, and these moments are moments that help us become more resilient. Even, being aware that we're stuck and wanting to invest time in ourselves to get unstuck, I think already is a really positive thing, right? And I think it's just learning that if you're willing to face up to your situation and to get clarity, you will come out of it stronger, and that builds resilience. I mean, for me, the concept of resilience is that you are able to bounce back from situations quite quickly. And as you bounce back, you actually become stronger each time you bounce back, because you're able to transform that event into positive energy, because you're taking, key learnings about life. You're learning, again, to put into perspective what's important for you, what you can let go of, what's not a priority, and decide to focus your energies on what is really going to bring you that self-actualization that we all are craving for.
I think it was interesting how you mentioned this lifeline exercise that you do as well, and how it's very similar to what I do. What else? What other patterns are you noticing between both of our experiences with clients?
Well, that people are actually reaching out for help, which is great. And the fact that you and I think we both talked about this, what makes us want to be coaches is having that impact and helping other people. And I think people need to want to be open to getting helped, because if people don't want to be helped, it's very difficult to help them. It's almost impossible to help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. So I think that first pattern of people actually being open to asking for help, and realizing that they need some external help to get out of their head, and just to see things from a different perspective. That's the first. The next is the fact that people tend to come to us with with the need to have more clarity and more self-awareness, and that as an external party to their head, their mind, their heart, their soul, we can help them see things from a different perspective. And I think that really helps to shine a light on areas of their conscious that they weren't aware of.
There's an interesting link here with our very first episode that we did. I think when you asked me what people want and what people need. And it's quite interesting here. I think people often come to me with, I'm stuck. I want to get unstuck. Whereas actually what they need is, so they want to know the next step forward, but what they need is that self-reflection, self-awareness piece. Because, you know, it is very rare that someone comes and says, I want to be more self-aware, but, you know, they want something over here, but they need to do this bit of work on themselves beforehand. So that's an interesting link, I thought, there between the two.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they think they know what they want, and that's what gets them to us to seek help. But then actually what they need, they may not be aware of, because if they knew exactly what they needed, then they probably wouldn't have to come for coaching. And I think that's where we can really help them.
Have you got any particular examples there of somebody or anyone from your coaching experience of kind of came to you stuck and then they left you unstuck with a clear way forward?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few of them, both men and women. And I think it's how I've helped them is really to reframe the way that they look at themselves. And I'm thinking of one person in particular. So he came with sort of high anxiety and the sense of fear of failure. And he'd just been promoted into a new role and was really having a difficult time sort of changing the gear from being a doer to being a leader. And when he realized that that's what he was doing, then he's like, now I understand what I need to do. I need to, empower my team more. I need to delegate more. I need to, do less doing and more, helping them do the doing. And that definitely helped to unblock him. That's a recent success story. And also having studied and sort of being passionate and having worked in big corporations, I'm passionate about positive leadership. So wherever I have a coachee that is in need to up their game as a leader, I'll get in the dog fight as well and help them. And I do a mix. It's a mixture of, let's say, coaching and training as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I leverage my experience and expertise, both the things that I've studied, but also having worked in big corporations as well, and having clearly seen the difference between a good manager, great manager, and a bad manager, and all the micromanagement that can go on, and there's managers that don't want to let go of their status and their position, and don't want to empower or share information. So I help my coachees see what they need to do in order to be positive leaders.
Great.
And what about you? I mean, any patterns that you see between the types of coachees that I see and the ones that you see?
I think the pattern is that there's a lot of people out there who are stuck about something.
Yeah.
And they might not know it immediately, or it might manifest itself in something else. But deep down, there's something around just not knowing where to go next. And yeah.
And we do the work on ourselves as well, don't we, Tom, as
Yeah.
coaches? We also
Oh,
get stuck
definitely.
sometimes.
Oh yes, get stuck all the time. Like I said earlier, the thought of leaving and moving out of the house, and having a huge list of things, and just having no idea where to start with, I think is quite a good realization for myself in my with my coaching clients to resonate with them around that as well. So yeah, it shows up for me much more when there's so much to do. I noticed that's for sure, than not knowing where to start. Well, it's still not knowing where to start, but it's because there's so much to do. Yeah.
Hey, so what would you say to people that are listening to this and that are starting to feel that they're a bit stuck in their life, whether professionally or personally? What would you like to say to them?
I think everyone has their own way of getting things out. I know a lot of people, for me included, it's writing. So just writing it all out really helps me. Just write, if I ever feel a bit stuck about what to do next, I just take out a huge, big sheet of paper and just write down everything. And sometimes just seeing it in front of me just helps them to reframe it and go, right, oh, actually, it is okay, or actually, this is a real problem. So it can help just visualize it a bit more. Now that people like to visualize things in different ways, speaking it out loud, I think, is really good as well. Of course, there's coming to a coach and getting support that way. But I'd say start the process of doing something. That doesn't mean you have to decide what to do next, but just taking some time to really think about the situation you're in and write it out, speak it out, whatever it works for you, draw it, something like that. I think is a good place to start, and then start to see what comes from that. Yeah.
Good advice. Great advice. I like the journaling and writing it down. And I think also sometimes drawing it like in a schematic way can also help, just even if you don't have to be a fantastic drawer, just blobbing it out and putting, this is me, this is a situation, this is what's happening, can also help give us some clarity. And I think also just, consider the fact that if you want to accelerate the process, that's where looking for professional help can help with that process too, of acceleration as well.
Definitely. Just having that time set aside to know that you're working on something, and having protected time to think and for you is so valuable. Yeah.
So Tom, if somebody wants to reach you, we'll put the links and the contacts on the description below, right?
Yeah.
Anything else that you would like to say before we wrap up today?
That's it for me. Yeah, I've enjoyed our conversation, and please reach out if you like to get in touch for any reason.
Yes, absolutely. And I would love to hear some feedback from our listeners and our viewers. And again, if they have any suggestions on what the other episodes should be on, that would be fantastic as well, so we can really help to, serve their needs as well. Yeah, definitely. Okay, Tom. So thank you, and we'll speak soon for the next episode. Thanks, Beatrice. See you. Bye.